Welcome to QuestPoint's YouTube channel, and what are we doing today? Today we will be running through 5 important ASP.NET interview questions around dependency injection and inversion of control. When you're talking about ASP.NET interviews, I'm dead sure that there will always be a question on dependency injection, inversion of control, what is the benefit of DI, the difference between scoped versus transient versus singleton, where the interviewer takes you for a nice ride, right? So in this 20 minutes of video, I can tell you that if you go through this video properly, you should be able to answer all of these 5 questions, right? And before I start, right, I would like to just make 2 big announcements out here. In this channel, we have 1 hour of video which covers 25 important ASP.NET MVC interview questions with answers. So down in the description link, there is 1 hour of video which is on 25 important ASP.NET MVC interview questions with answers. I would suggest please go through that video. I am dead sure if you cover that 1 hour of video, it is more than enough to cover a lot of your questions, to face a lot of your questions during the interviews, right? And here is a small gift. If you go and if you share this video somewhere on your LinkedIn, on your Facebook, on your Twitter, you will get this ebook for free. So once you share, please go ahead and send a mail at questpoint@questpoint.com. We would be more than happy to send you this ebook. So let us get started with 5 important ASP.NET interview questions around dependency injection and inversion of control. Now, before we get into the different types of dependency injection like scoped and transient and singleton, first let us try to understand what exactly is dependency injection and what is the benefit of it. I'm sure that every interviewer out there who's taking ASP.NET interviews, the first thing he will ask a basic concept and then he will probe further, right? So let us try to answer this question. What exactly is dependency injection? Now, always remember the golden rule of interviews. Always answer to the point. Do not hit around the bush. Do not go in circles, right? So here it is. Dependency injection is nothing but it is a methodology wherein rather than caller creating the instance, it is injected by someone else or it is injected by some framework or something, right? So caller means, for example, now you can see this is a home controller. So rather than this home controller saying my DB context X is equal to new my DB context. So rather than he creating the instance, we just ask that in the constructor and it is injected by someone else. Now this someone else can be a framework. This someone else can be any other mechanism. For example, here, when we say in our configure services in the startup.cs services.add scoped, so the ASP.NET services actually goes and injects automatically this MyDB context. So I repeat the answer. Dependency injection is nothing but it is a methodology wherein rather than the caller creating the instance, it is injected by someone else. One more connected question which can come around dependency injection is what exactly is inversion of control? Now remember that inversion of control is not a technical thing. It is more of a concept, where we say that any kind of unnecessary things what you're doing, you should delegate it to someone else and you should focus on your work. For example, this home controller out here will take a request. It will actually display the home page. It will do some logic, which is against the UI and so on. But his work is not to create the instances, not to decide, which instance to be created, right? So you can see here, by using dependency injection, we are implementing inversion of control concept. So dependency injection is like a technical thing which implements inversion of control. So inversion of control is just a concept. It is not even more of a software thing. It is just a concept, where we say that any kind of unnecessary things, whatever that code is doing, you should delegate it to someone else and that code should focus on his task and not on others' task, right? Definitely another thing, which the interviewer will surely ask is that what is the benefit of dependency injection? Now again, answer to the point. The main benefit of dependency injection is that you change at one place and the changes will reflect at a lot of places. It helps you to achieve decoupled architecture. Decoupled architecture means, for example, now this home controller is just receiving DB context. He has no idea that this DB context can be an SQL Server context, it can be a MongoDB context, it can be a file context, it can be an Oracle context, right? So what I have to do now is, so everywhere in all my controllers, I will just say that receive this dependency injection, that is my DB context. And then from at one place, I can say that wherever there is my DB context, inject SQL Server context. So I change at this one place out here, and all over my project SQL Server context is injected. And if you say like, okay, now we are changing from SQL Server to Oracle, no problem. Just you say Oracle context, right? So the whole goal of dependency injection is good architecture. And what exactly is a good architecture? A good architecture is a decoupled architecture where you change at one place or at less places, and the changes is reflected across many of your code, right? So that's what exactly is dependency injection. Once you have answered the basic questions like what is dependency injection and what is the use of it and so on, the interviewer will surely raise his bar ahead and say that, okay, what is the difference between scoped versus transient versus singleton, right? So first thing, again, to the point answer, all of these three techniques, define the lifetime of the injected object. So whatever is your object injected out here, all of these three things, this scoped and singleton and transient, they define, that how much time that object will be alive and how the injection will happen. So let us go more in depth. So first, let us start with singleton. When you say services.add singleton, and when you go and you ask for that service out here, for example, you can see here I have said my services.add singleton caching, and here it is, this is caching, right? Only one instance of the object is created for all the HTTP requests, for all the clients, for everything. So throughout the server, there is one big global instance which is created. For example, you can see here this caching, right? Caching object, what I've done. If you see the caching object code, what I've done, I have actually, once the object is created, I have created a GUID. Now, in case if fresh instances are created, then this GUID would be different, right? But because, fresh instances will not be created, for every request, the same instance will be injected. So for example, now if you see here, if I run this, so there it is, you can see now, if you go here to caching, you will find that this is the GUID, right? Cache. So this is the GUID out here. Now let us say I request again. So let's say I send a request to home. You can see the same GUID 0DD 0D9, 0DD 0D9. So even if I say again 0DD 0D9, even if I log in as another user, means for example, if I open in a cognito mode, we can think about that this is like a new user. But even if it is coming from a different user also, it's the same instance. So when you actually go and say singleton, that means the same instance of the object is created throughout the project, right? Now let us talk about add scoped. So one more way of injecting the object is by saying add scoped. Now when you are explaining this answer to the interviewer, right, two statements should come out very distinctly and clearly so that there is no confusion that with the interviewer. The first one is, for every single request, add scoped will inject a new instance. I repeat this statement. For every single request, either it comes from the same user or either it comes from a different user, the instances will be new. For example, you can see here, this MyDB context is injected in a scoped way. So if you see now, this MyDB context, the GUID, it is now showing 656 DFC, right? Now, if I again come back, now this is one request which is completed. Now I'm going for the second request. For second request, again, you can see new instances created. There's a new GUID, E6DF FE26. You are either sending the request from the same browser, or if you are a new user, right? For example, you can see now I'm trying to come as a new user, different instance, B82 C86. So remember, for every request, different instances will be injected. So this is the first statement you will make. The second statement is, but within the same request, if you are asking to dependency inject the object 2 times or 3 times, the same instance will be injected. Means what? For example, now over here, if I go and if I ask for my DB context again, let us say obj1, or let us say I ask 2 times or 3 times. So if I dependency inject in the constructor multiple times, right, the same instance will be injected. So you can see now this is obj2. So now if I run this, for the same request, he will inject the same instance in a single HTTP request, right? So if I run this, so there it is. You can see now this is obj GUID is this. Let us look into obj1. So if you look at obj1, the same instance. If you look at obj2, the same instance. So you can see here, within a same request, the scoped will dependency inject the same object. So if you ask many times the object, it will be dependency injected with the same instance. Okay. So remember, when you're explaining scope, 2 statements. For every HTTP request, new instance will be created of the DB scoped object. But within the single HTTP request, if you are asking for the object 2 times or 3 times or 4 times, the same instance will be injected. So now let us talk about transient. Again, when you are talking about transient to the interviewer, 2 statements should come out. Point number 1, for every request, a new instance will be created. So same like scoped, for every request, a new instance will be created. But within the request, if you ask for the object multiple times, new instances will be injected. I repeat this. This is the second statement, which is very opposite to scoped. In case of scoped, the same instance was injected, but in case of transient, new instances will be injected within the same request, right? So if I run this, so there it is. So if you see here, this is obj GUID. Now let us talk about obj1. You can see now obj1 GUID is different than obj2 GUID is different than obj1 and 2. So you can see all the GUIDs are different, right? So 2 statements to explain transient. First, for every request, a new instance will be created. And within that same request, if you ask the object 2 times or 3 times or multiple times in the constructor, fresh instances will be injected. Now comes the final nail in the coffin. When should we use what? So in what situation you will use scoped, in what situation you will use transient, and in what situation you will use singleton. So let us first start with singleton. Singleton, as it says, it's one big global object, which is shared across the whole server or whole website, right? So, the situations, where singleton will be used, like caching. You are caching country master, state master, currency master, or configurations, where you don't want to go and hit the database and take the database strip, right? So one is caching. Second one, like hit counters, you want to just count, how many times, the website was hit by how many users, hit counters, any kind of shared service, any kind of shared data. So singleton is the most easiest one. Keep some good examples ready. Like I've given some examples here: caching, hit counter, and shared services. Now let us talk about scoped. In case of scoped, first thing, most of the time you will be using scoped. So most of the time, whenever you say you want to do dependency injection, the singleton is very clear. But when it comes choosing between scoped and transient, most of the time it will be scoped. That is but natural, because when you in a single request, you would like to reuse the same instance, right? Most of the time. But now you need to remember that when you are saying scoped, all of these instances created here point to the same reference. Means what I mean is, if let us say you go here and if you change, let us say this obj.value to, let us say, shiv, everyone's value, that is obj2 and obj will also change, because it is the same instance. So look at this. So remember, when you're talking about scoped, the same instance is injected. So if you see here, for now, if you see, obj1's value is null, obj1's value is null, obj's value is null, obj2 value is null. But if I go and change any one of these instances, because in the startup.cs I've said this is add scoped. So if I go and make any change in one of the objects, all the objects value is changing. You can see because they are pointing to the same instance, right? And definitely, what you would like to do is by default, you would like to have add scoped. For example, let us say you are using this DB context, my DB context. So you would say my DB context. So you would like that in the single request, all the objects should be added in the same commit and same transaction and the same context. So for example, let us say you say here add, let us say you'll say here add some value, right? Some value 1. And let us say you use the second instance like obj1 and you say, okay, again, this data is connected to some value 1, right? Connected to some value 1, assume, so like you are adding customer and you are adding the addresses of that customer. So that means that if I say anywhere obj.commit, everyone should get committed, isn't it? So in case, when you're talking about like DB context, most of the time you will use scoped, right? Why? Because you want to ensure that in the same connection, in the same context, you would like to do a commit, you would like to do a rollback. So most of the time it will be scoped. Now let us talk about transient, right? This is where, some good examples we should have. So first thing, I will use transient, in case in my constructor, I'm putting obj1, obj2, because here it definitely means that you are expecting new copies of the instance. Or else, if you are saying scoped, right, you'd just put one value. So when you are putting multiple values, right, that means already the decision is done that you want separate copies of the instance, right? So that is one sign, where I see that add transient by default comes in. But now think about it. This obj is adding some value 1. So this obj.commit will commit only value 1. Now obj1 is adding some another value, right? Some another value, and his commit is different. So when you want that the instances should not have any connection between them, they are separate instances, they are separate copies. For example, you would like to say, okay, use this context, to add some value 1 and it has no connection with some other value. That is a different transaction, right? So in this case, that means if it is a different transaction, the context has to be different and it should be a fresh instance. So, in situations, where you want complete different cloned copy and you want to operate on that one copy and the operation of the one copy should not affect the other copy, you will use transient. So summarizing, when you talk about Singleton, shared service, caching, hit counter, and those kind of things. Scoped, if you want that the same instance has to be used in the same request, like example, you want that all the transactions should belong to one DB context, then you will use scoped. But if you say no, like, I need 2 different copies and one copy should not affect the other, right? Then definitely it is transient, right? And one of the other example of transient is like multi-threading. In case of multi-threading, you would like to create 2 different instances because you do not want any kind of multi-threading, side effects, so one instance will work in one copy, another instance will work in another copy, right? So just remember these examples while you're speaking in the interview. So that brings us to the end of this session. Hope you have enjoyed this session. In this session, we covered the 5 important questions. And don't forget, if you go and if you share this video on your Facebook, on your Twitter, on your LinkedIn, you will get this ebook for free, which has around 40 plus questions around ASP.NET interview questions with answers, right? And second, don't forget, there is a 1 hour of video, which covers almost 30 questions around ASP.NET interview question with answers down below. Happy learning, happy job hunting.